Okay, it's day 87. This is part 5. 1201 Maryland. 1201 Maryland. This used to be, I believe, you can see the Capitol behind me, the railroad. And maybe it still goes under here. This is a fairly new development here, I think. The Mandarin Oriental behind me here. You can see kind of this side of the mall, the Washington Mall over there. So this is interesting because most buildings in Washington, D.C. that are government buildings are marked. This is where double NSA is. I just went inside to make sure it was still the headquarters, and the person there, the security person, told me, yes, that's correct. If you don't remember what double NSA is, you know what the NSA is. Snowden made that famous. Double NSA is the Nuclear National Security Agency, and this was broken away from the military, the tracking of nuclear materials all over the world, in 1998. We formed a private corporation for shipping that material around and enriching that material. The company formed for enriching U.S. uranium was called U.S. Enrichment. That's the Krupniks. Pavel Krupnik runs international relations there. Does that mean recruiting of Uzbeki truckers, the Saipov truckers? Well, it sure looks like it if you believe DOT forms and you believe NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, paperwork. The reason why I don't follow money is because I don't have that capability unless it's published in a newspaper. I don't have FinCEN, which is the financial monitoring network, or some of the other monitoring money laundering tools that law enforcement agencies have. So I follow the footprints of uranium, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission here. We also have the footprints of the trucking industry. Just down the street, a little bit further down the street, is the Department of Trucking, Transportation. So we've got those two things going on. And then we've also got the footprints involved with, if those companies are involved in alcohol or the transport of weapons, ATF. We've got ATF footprints there. So it makes the whole argument or whatever about what's about ready to happen kind of moot, because it's the documents that drive court cases, not people's opinions on Twitter, okay? So whether or not you think Mark Lambert is important, the fact that he's in a lot of documents in Uranium One is important. And the fact that 5,000 emails about Uranium One are going to be coming out, as well as 10,000 email messages. You're going to find that, as I've said from the beginning of this series, going back for almost 500 days, this is pay to play, pay to play, pay to play. And the best pay to play is when you can do it under the color of law. When you do it under an agency like this, and the FBI becomes the people that take over the management of the logistics, the FBI becomes the logistics manager for uranium in the United States, you can put whatever you want underneath that uranium. You basically have a free pass. You have a color of law transportation network, logistics network all over the world when you have that situation. Plus you have a monopoly on the people who can enrich that uranium, U.S. enrichment. Who do we know is involved in U.S. enrichment? It's McCabe, it's Comey, it's Rosenstein. It's the same conspirators. Who is putting the informants into those companies to the person who has the monopoly on the transportation logistics? It's Andrew McCabe. So we're not talking about a large group here, but it's about a group of 4 or 5 people that over and over again seem to attack whenever possible to defend themselves in Uranium One. As a matter of fact, if you look at all the Fusion One, the Fusion GPS conspirators, it seems to be the Uranium One conspirators defending themselves by attacking. It's just over and over. For instance, Nellie Orr, she's speaking Russian, and she's brought over from the CIA in a group called Open Sources to run the Fusion GPS operation in the last 4 months of the campaign. It almost seems exactly like Imran Awan leaving his station where he was positioned to go work at the DNC to do his magic for the sweeps from the DNC to Hillary for America. It doesn't really matter what your opinions are, if this is the first domino of Uranium One, or if you think it's the last domino. It doesn't matter, because the documents are coming out. And once the first document comes out, they create a domino effect of all their own. Steve Bannon, for instance, when he goes in front of the House Intel tomorrow, he's going to have to answer questions around, did you ever receive any money from Fusion GPS at Breitbart or while you were the National Security Advisor? Corey Lewandowski is going to provide information. Lots and lots of people are going to provide information. Again, you think you're on the attack, but then you box yourself in with the answers you get. The classic example of that would be Glenn Simpson answering Caudex. Is my LLC. He forgot about Bean LLC, which is his main LLC. But that led back to a chain of cutouts in Wyoming, where there's uranium mines. If you wanted to try to destroy miners or people in local papers out there, you might put Fusion GPS out there. Also in Tennessee, if you had trucking companies and so forth, and you wanted to take over there. And again, you have places in Europe, in France, and also in foreign countries like Estonia. So if you wanted to do recruiting, or you wanted to get control of the port of Tallinn, we have Fusion GPS again and again attacking the business principles that where people want to pay to play. It's happening over and over again. We saw it with a journalist in Venezuela, with Boyd attacking oil company executives. We saw it in Russia with the Magnitsky being kind of the bag man for all these different Russian entities being attacked, and all these former Soviet Union cutouts or carve-outs. So the next week we'll tell the story. Again, documents will drive this, as they have all along, not opinions on Twitter. Documents will drive this. Court cases where there's true discovery is what will drive this, not opinions on Twitter.